I've said many times, maybe to you, that pensions are actually pretty simple and not something that should befuddle your head or blow your mind. At their most basic, they're savings plans on which you get a tax break on the way in when you're paying money in. The payoff being that you can't get your hands on your money until you're old. Well, what you might think of as old when you start or should start paying money in, but actually doesn't seem that old when you actually get there and probably realise you should have started earlier. Anyway, all well and good, but the reality is that's like saying cars are pretty simple. They get you from A to B, you press the accelerator, use the brake from time to time, and Bob's your uncle. Then, of course, you look at the manual or read the highway code and remember, no, it really isn't that simple. And sadly, it's the same with pensions. And the time you can guarantee it will get more complicated is when you hear any chancellor or pensions minister at any time say they're going to simplify things. You can imagine the kind of yes minister type conversations which might go on. Of course, I've just realised that unless you're already of pensionable age, you probably won't have heard of yes minister. If you haven't, take a look on YouTube after, of course, subscribing to this channel. Anyway, here's a recent example. I'm going to abolish the pensions lifetime allowance. It's ridiculously complicated, probably doesn't bring in much tax, and calculating what tax we're owed must cost more in man-hours than it's worth. Ah, yes, Chancellor, but must be the usual answer. The but being that just getting rid of it is not going to be that easy or probably politically popular. Labour immediately and famously said they'd reintroduce it, as of course there aren't that many who have more than $1 million or so in their pensions, and the majority will see that minority as the very definition of fat cats. So there's a compromise, of course, which says that there will still be a lifetime allowance, but it will be an allowance restricting the amount of tax-free cash you can get in your lifetime. And that restriction will be that you can only take 25% of the, you've guessed it, now abolished lifetime allowance. And there's a maximum which can be paid out tax-free on death before 75. And the amount is, you've guessed it again, the lifetime allowance, which has of course been abolished. These behind the scenes writings in the manual have complicated things enormously, and there are of course a number of people with combinations of other old pensions who might be disadvantaged and who, if they get in quick, we've now heard, can apply for something called a tax-free cash transitional certificate. Now, I'm in the process of reading the new manual for what feels to me like the 32nd time to try and work out if any of you, if your clients, need to get one of these transitional tax-free cash certificates. If I cracked it by the time of my 33rd reading, I'll be in touch very shortly. If it was easy, I guess I and my ilk wouldn't have a job.